Hi, it's Corrine. Thanks so much for stopping by. Today I am sharing a last minute gift card holder. Well, it's not a last minute gift card holder, it's just I'm getting to it at the last minute. And I'm using a die set from Pink and Maine. It's called Gift Card Holder. I'll link it down in the description box below. But I do also quickly show how to make something like this if you don't own a die to cut it out. Having the die set does make it super quick. So this is the first time that I'm using this die set. So I kind of pulled out all the pieces to try and see how this goes together. And it also comes with a little tag die. I don't end up using it for this specific gift card holder, but I do use it. So again, I'm just trying to figure out all the pieces. A lot of times I like to take a new die set and some white paper, just some scrap paper, and cut everything out, and that kind of explains how to do it. You know, you can kind of see how it goes together, but this is pretty simple. So I pulled out some Concord and Ninth wheat cardstock. I end up changing my mind, but I love the look of craft with red, and especially this red. This is Cranberry by Concord and Ninth. So I'm going to cut all the pieces that I need from the cranberry. Like I said, I do change my mind on the wheat, so I'll just save that for another project. I keep all my scraps. I pulled out these little scrapbook.com containers, which kind of keep everything in its place. I like to put the cut pieces in them and then keep my dies together as well. So I ran those through my Anna Griffin Impress. I like to use my Cricut spatula to get the dies off since I cut into the magnetic cutting mat. And this die cuts with the score lines, so you just kind of want to crease over on the score lines and use your bone folder and give that a good crease. So once I put the cranberry in it, I still love the look of it, but it's when I started to put the other pieces with it, I decided I wanted to go a different route altogether. So I'm trying to see where this piece goes. I do figure it out, and then it also has that little bow, which is cute. Like I said, I don't use it on this, but I do use it. So I realized that little rectangle piece, it's almost a square, it goes towards the top. And I wasn't sure what color I wanted to use the tag at that time because I thought I was still going to use the tag, so I just set it aside. So here's where I just changed my mind. It was the next day actually because I had to stop and work on something else. I pulled out some Artichoke by Concord and Ninth and some silver glitter cardstock. I love using this glitter cardstock. I got that from Amazon. I pulled out Christina Warner's Merry Greetings die, with Concord and Ninth, and I'm going to use the stars out of it. So I cut several stars from that silver cardstock. I wanted to decorate the package, the gift card holder. So I thought these little stars in 2 different sizes would be perfect. I also do add some circles to them for polka dots. And for that, I just pulled out I think it's a 1/4 inch hole punch. That's just a hole punch from Walmart, and it makes the perfect embellishments. So I did quite a few of those, set those aside. I'm using some Beacon Fabri-Tac to adhere this down. And like I said, if you don't have this die, I do show quickly how to make something like this. I gave that a good crease with my bone folder and set that aside to dry. This would also be great to use as pockets in mini albums or the front of a card, something like that. So for the tails of the bow, I wanted to give them a little bit of shading. So I pulled out some Distress ink in Ground Espresso, and I just added a little bit of inking to the tails and the centerpiece for the bow. There's so many options you have with this. You could do a different color altogether, but I wanted to keep it that cranberry color. So on the 2 pieces of the bow, I wanted to add a little bit of dimension so it stood out a little. I added some low profile 3D foam squares, and then I will glue the tail to the bottom of that. You could glue it behind it or in the front. I thought in the front would be good so it kind of stood over the package. I'll just add a little glue to the center there, and then I will give that a chance to dry as well. I'm using some Barely art glue in a fine tip bottle, and then my reverse tweezers to kind of hold it in place while it's drying. So that to me gave just enough shading to set it apart from the bow itself. And here's where I go ahead and decorate the bow so that it cuts out 2 rectangle pieces, and I realize that needs to go across the top of the package, but because I did not glue down the tail ends, I was able to just slip that in there. But if you were putting it together, you'd probably want to put it on before you add the bow. But in my case, being that I didn't glue it down, it worked out perfectly fine. I also realized that small little rectangle needed to be glued on as well. But again, I was able to just slip that up in there and glue it on. So here's where I'm doing that using my reverse tweezers to kind of help out. So I set that aside to dry while I'm decorating the package itself. Again, adding that centerpiece. I did add that piece back in just so I could line up those 2 pieces to make sure that they line up when the gift card is in there. So giving that a minute to dry, I did pull out all my stars and just started adhering them. Some of them I cut off to make it look like it's going off the package or up to that bow in the center. And I am using my pickup stick and some reverse tweezers. If it's large enough, I use my reverse tweezers. If I need it for something small, I just use my pickup stick. This would look cute with just a few stars, but I wanted to add the 2 different size stars along with the polka dots, and I did decorate both the front and the back of it. For the behind where the gift card goes, I wanted to stamp something, so this is the first time I believe using this stamp. I wasn't sure. Sorry, my head gets in the way, but I stamped it off a couple times with some Versamark ink on a piece of chipboard before taking it to my project, and then I just stamped it, Happy Holidays. I believe that's a paper tray ink stamp. And then I was able to write my little message on the back of it. So this is super cute. This is a great way to give a gift. You can put a hole in it and add it right to your tree. I do make a matching envelope for it, or an envelope, I should say, out of craft cardstock. And here's where I was trying to decide if I wanted to add the tag, but to me it took away from the stars. But it would be super cute if you wanted to use it. But here's where I show you. I do use those for something else. I give little cellophane bags of homemade fudge to our neighbors. So I'm actually going to attach those onto the bags, but that makes for a great gift tag for anything. I just didn't use it on this. So again, it has a little stamped message on the inside, and it also has a handwritten message on the outside. And I did use one of those little bows with the star for the outside of my envelope. I used the We Are Memory Keepers envelope punch board. It takes just a minute to make a handmade envelope, so I like to do that, and I think the craft goes well with it. So if you don't have this die but you want to make something similar, you could cut out a piece of cardstock to 6.5 by 4.5, and you also want to cut an inside piece from 2 3/4 by 4 1/4, or maybe a little larger. So on that 6.5 by 4.5 piece, go ahead and score it at 1/2, 3.5, flip it and score it at 1/2. And then we're going to cut our tabs and glue it together. It's very simple. So I'm going to try and give you a close-up look here. You want it from that 1/2 inch score line. You just kind of want to miter the corner so when it folds over, you don't see that edge. So just take a little bit off that 1/2 from where the score line is to the edge of the paper. Then we're going to cut out the bulk in the corner there. So just cut straight across. Again, don't go over your score line. And here you want to miter off this corner and take off that last end piece. You want to cut that entire piece off. And I'll give you a closer look of what it looks like here once it's completed. So it leaves you with those little tabs. Just go ahead and fold over on those little tabs and glue them together. Fold over, give them a nice crease. And then your inside piece, you can use a decorative border punch, whatever you'd like to use. You could actually cut it like this pink and Maine die and leave edges like a package and put the ribbon down the center like I did as well. But this could be a great idea for a last minute gift card holder. I would just probably attach the gift card with a little bit of double-sided tape to the back of it. So I hope you found this helpful. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. Otherwise, I hope you have a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.